Hey, top of the morning to you. Michael here. The grandkids call me Roo. And I started sketching this. I had this rooster head laying out here this morning. It's showtime. And I started sketching on this piece of paper, which I think is a piece of, watercolor paper, Fluid 100. This is 100% cotton. I love Kilimanjaro paper and I love fluid paper. They fit my style. So there you go. So welcome to the show this morning. So I actually started with a little pencil sketch. So lo and behold, the man has a pencil. And but I picked up immediately before I got into the pencil too deep, a preppy number 2 platinum pen. Little simple fountain pens. These are made, I don't know where they're made. I bought this one at Cheap Joe's Art. Let me say hello and I'll jump back on this and show you what I'm doing this morning. Let me just get out of the miry pit of despond here. Shaboom, there I am. Good morning to you. Thank you for being on the show. It's Monday morning. It's March 22nd. Okay, so March 22nd, between March 22nd and March 29th, somewhere in that neighborhood, I actually think it was the 24th or 28th, I'm not real sure, is actually when not when Roodoodles started, but when Roodoodles started streaming online with this system that I'm still using right here today. Same computer, same cameras, same desk, same paints. Other than I just broke the lid and I haven't figured out. It's not that I'm that cheap. It's just, you hate to throw away the honey jar until the last bit is scraped out. And so there's a part of me that wants to change, but I know next month I'm going to be painting with some different palettes in Orlando for Yasatoma. And so I'm sort of waiting to see if I bring something home or if I like something. I've asked them to have a couple. In fact, I've actually asked them to have a couple butcher pans on board so that I can do that too. Here, let me just switch to this window right here. Boom, that. So I still have the same setup that I did, and it has been a blast. It has been exciting for me. It's been extremely challenging and extremely encouraging from even my side of the camera that many of you have hung on from the get-go, and I appreciate that so much. But I appreciate even more what I see of how you have built a community into what we do as Roodoodles. Roo's Crew, just the whole cotton-picking, Roodoodleified things that you might have loosened up. Your art, those of you who paint, I know there are some very professional painters that hang out on this show, and I know your work is far better than mine will ever be, but I hope I've encouraged you in some ways to get out and push your art out a little bit and let the world see what you're doing creatively. It's not a bad pride. It's a gift or a talent. It's like you being a songwriter. My granddaughter spent the weekend playing a new little guitar and learning it. And she has discovered this may be, and I don't know how long she'll ride this pony, but it's one of the things that she's doing right now. And it excites our heart when we see someone break into that realm and go, I can do that. I can do that. I'm highly favored. I'm off and riding. I got the pony saddle. So let me say good morning to you, and I'll jump back into this. What I was doing here while the music was playing. Shoot, let me just do this. Let me just put on a little music here for a second, and I'll play something. This head reminded me. I'll just go ahead and sketch this out a little bit here. I'm working with this preppy pen. Here we go. Yes, Roodoodleified is a word. Okay, it's if you scrabble around on something like this, it's Roodoodleified. Okay, so Carl, my good friend Carl, who's a graphic artist that I hired many years ago for this ministry we're working in, he said, I think you just have a way to Roodoodleify things. And it came from my loose, reckless style. I got a meeting today, and at 2 o'clock this afternoon, I got to meet with a gentleman about some consulting ideas. And so there was usually a couple other folks set in on the meeting. And so this is just sort of a little, I was preparing my mind for the meeting today. And I thought that'd be fun if I just sketched the meeting. The meeting. The committee. It's not a committee because I chose not to be on a committee. You know, what's that old joke? A committee are a group of people who got together to create a horse. And that's what the camel came out of. They're like, hey, so I don't want to be a committee. I want to be in a team of people who think differently, who think like artists, who are willing to bend and shape and change. And so I'm helping them with some ideas. But there we go. There's you can see how careful I'm being with my sketches. I'm going to do a couple sketches like this today. Just a fountain pen. I'm going to put that one away, and I'm going to grab a bigger one. This is an 02. This is an 03. I'm just going to grab it a little darker. Get some little bit of. I know that music's kind of loud. I like it here. All right. That's far enough. We'll see what happens. Okay, let me say hello to some of you here. Let me just pop this up and scroll down. Good grief. A lot of you have jumped on the show already. Thank you for being here this morning. Minnesota greetings, I see. I'll jump to that. Linda Bacon Lawless, thank you for being on the show. Good morning to you. Karen Bender, Donacell Barton, Diane Soho, Nancy Catlett. Excuse me for having a lozenge in my mouth to start the show, but I'll tell you what. Ricola and tea, no, they don't go together. That is so bad. But pollen has started, and of course, all January and February after my early bout in January with COVID, my sinuses have still been just a nutcase. Okay, well, no, I'm the nutcase. My sinuses have been messed up inside the nut. Nancy Catlett, thanks for being on the show. Fern Skelly, thank you. Time to paint, she says. Hey, Steve, welcome to you. Rhonda DeHart from sunshiny spring morning from Faith. Carol Todd Mundy, welcome to the show. Barbara Mayer, Karen Bender, a man said hello. Tamberly Marie. Finally able just to sit and enjoy this morning. Well, sip your coffee, sip your tea, sip a warm cuppa, and just go. Spring's coming, and we'll be out of the miry pit of despond. Those of you who still are getting snow, you know, you live there. I met some new people yesterday at a little food truck luncheon on the ground, and they were putting their name tag on just so we could say hello to first names of people, but someone had said, put the hometown you grew up in or where you're from on your name tag, and they all put Apple Valley, Minnesota. Now, this is in Charlotte, and I went, wait just a second. Do you people still say pop up there? And the young ladies in the family just smiled, and I went, I knew I could connect some way, because there are people on my painting show who say pop. Tamberly Marie, so thanks, glad you're getting to set. Deborah Lynn Tauber, welcome. Catherine Brousseau, Elaine Barnett, Sandy Connor, welcome to you too. All right, Beverly Schmidt from Greenville, Linda Schleitning, Kathy Taylor. There's a Minnesota greetings right there. There's someone who doesn't drink. In the South, we say, could you get me a soft drink or a Coke or and they all say, would you like a pop? And see, when my dad said you'd like a pop, that meant on the top of the head with a hammer handle or something. Not really. He wasn't a tough guy. Jackie Wallace, morning to you. Jennifer Yentz, happy marvelous Monday to you. Jean Ann Thalzer, Virginia McClure. Golly, look at all you guys. There's Maria Retka. I want to say that differently every time. Gail Anderson, thank you for being on the show. Lisa Pedisor, which sounds like dinosaur. See, you helped me out there. What made you decide to go live in Charlotte? Is that what you said? Or go live? What made you decide to go live? Oh, what made me decide to go live? That's a good question. Well, part of it is that I was a singer-songwriter storyteller for about 25 years. And so I was used to telling stories to people, having a platform stage, doing radio shows, doing some TV commercials. And so I like the feedback, but I also like the feel of doing something live with people. Although you're not in my house, this is kind of how I am. If you were to come and have breakfast, we would tell stories. We would sit on the back porch. We would sometimes do an uptown breakfast or lunch. Sometimes we would go back to where I grew up. Got a gentleman coming over in a couple of weeks, and he and I don't really know each other. And I just said, "How about breakfast?" And he said, "I have some early morning meetings." And I said, and I know he's been through a process recently where he's lost about 65 pounds, and he's looking trim and sharp. And I'm a few years older than he is, but he's getting in great shape. And I said, and I don't want to do anything to take you off your. And he said, no. Every now and then I want to be taken off the rail just a little bit. And I said, how about going back to the mountains with me with some biscuits and gravy and maybe a nice little fried pan steak? And he goes, I'm in. And so sometimes I do that, but when people come to that, it's a time of just storytelling, and let me hear your story. And so I know you hear most of mine because this is a one-sided thing, but I'm seeing a lot of yours fleshed out where you send cards and art. So I was working, Rhonda, with a consultant at the time who I was a consultant to the consultant. He was meeting with companies and businesses, and I was helping him with ideas. Just throwing out ideas to say, what if you did this and this and this and this? What if you did? What if you did? There's a quote from Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle book that started back when I was in radio, that started long before that. What if you did this? And so I said to myself, I've got to learn this consulting concept to do it during COVID online. So I bought a piece of software that I liked. I researched for about 2 weeks, and I found this piece of software. Put out the coins for it, thinking, it might come back to me someday, but this is part of what I do as a business. Had some cameras for my video work, and set up a camera over there, set up a camera here. Have my computer here to do videos in, because I'm a videographer, a storyteller with visuals also. And so I thought, I need something that I can communicate. Had a microphone in my sound gear closet that I put here. So I have cables run all over there. There's a cable over here. There's a tripod there, a tripod here, a desk covered with just stuff, and it's shot. And then I have another computer behind this black screen over by these windows that I edit video on, but you didn't want to see all that mess. So I put in a black photo boundary there that I have some already from shooting. And I just clicked the button one day and went on live. And to my most humbled, seriously, excitement. Many of you found yourself at home on Facebook, keeping up with kids and grandkids and chasing school and COVID and all the news. You popped up on my show and you loved it. And then I did 100 days straight. And those of you who know this story, that's the rest of the story. So it's a good question. Thank you. Miss Carla, thanks for being on the show. Pat Brooks was part of that during that time. Pat has been on from almost the get-go. Pat sort of found a fellow artist out there because she is such a good artist, and she said, you have a wild, weird style, and she bought a couple little paintings of mine and literally sent me a check in the mail and said, I want these paintings, and there were some questions in that, so I responded back, and then that, of course, led to me seeing some of her art. And that's how I called her one day. Just was driving down to have the oil changed in the truck. Lo and behold, how do I remember that? Because I was sitting outside while they were working on my truck. And it was April or May. And I said, you've written all these things that I've done in this first 100 days. It's probably May, 100 days of my show. And she sent me some of them. And I said, would you consider doing some art around those? And so that's how the Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle book came into being. So Javine McGabe, thank you for being on the show. It's Cabe, Denise Albright from Exeter, California. Trish Brown, thanks for being here. June Jones, got all the Joneses here. Marion Jones, June Jones. I love it. Pat, thank you. You all are inspiring each other now, and that's what happens when you throw the rock into the pool and the waves start to go out, and it's amazing. So every now and then a new splash comes along, and you follow out, and you've built a community, and you guys it's pretty amazing. Chris Whitaker, marvelous artist. She's on the show all the time. Okay, here we go. I'm going to, Heather Kuhlman, thanks for being on the show. Jacqueline Goodrich, thank you for being here. Let's move on down here. Let me see what I got. Dana Smith, welcome. Pat Lightbody. Lori Stanley Handelmeyer Henderson. I've been saying that forever, and that's not even her real name. It's Lori Stanley Henderson, but Handelmeyer just works so well because of a comic in the late 60s with Stanley Meyer Handelman. And so that's how that came to be. Sally Ann Smith from Hollywood, California. Teresa Marie. Salvaggio, is that how it is? Good night. That's a heck of a name. Andy Bean, welcome. Annette Hinsland from up in Bird Island. All right, so here we go. My relatives in Penn say pop, poke, and press. Do you know what they mean? Well, pop is a drink. Poke is pokeberries if you're in the South and you don't eat them. And press, I don't know what that is except press on, weary pilgrim. Is it Cecilia Buttrick? Thank you for being on the show. Becky Bailey, always welcome. Scott Lotta, whoa, from Blunsville, Alabama. Scott, good to see your name on the show again this morning. All right, I got to get busy here. Jennifer McMullen, blessings. Glad to have you on the show. See a lot of new names, and I really love that. Thank you guys for jumping on board. So let's move ahead here. Boom. Melina Phillips says, I'm a Clampett millionaire. I'll be raking until Christmas. All right, so I started this painting, and here it is right here. I started with some fountain pens, and I'm going to stay with it. I started with a 2. This is a 3. Let's put a little more music here, just something that would inspire me to scribble with this fountain pen. This fountain pen's a little darker. It's an 03, so that means just the tip's a little wider, got a little more millimeter happening in there. I like that darkness of it sometimes. Look at this, just keeping a little bit of white in those eyes already up there. Doing that with just the pen. I don't know how this is going to come out. I'm not even going to erase the pencil. I'm going to leave the pencil in there. I just want some squiggles. I'm kind of into this fountain pen squiggle thing here. Remember, here's what I'm painting on. Fluid 100, 100% cotton. That's why it's called Fluid 100. All right, let me turn this music down just a little bit. All right, so let's just start it like this. Let that one come over here. Someone said, I saw that, said the meeting of the hens. That'd be good, except these are all roosters. So I'm calling this the consult, since I'm in the consulting meeting today, and I get to go in and look at ideas and talk about what's happening, the way I see it as an outsider into an organization, and so that's always kind of fun. All right, so there we go. That's kind of the. I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna grab one more fountain pen. I'm gonna grab this one. This is a safari pen. It's called a Lamy, Lamy, or Lamy, but our dear friend John Robert Small used to call it the Lamy. He says it rhymes with mommy, but it's Lamy. If you can see it right there, see that under my thumbnail above it, Lamy. It's a decent pen. By the way, just from fountain pens, listen to this. I have fountain pens that I have different fountain pens. All these are different fountain pens that I use. And because I use different fountain pens, this could get a little confusing, but I always buy the ink. I always buy the correct ink for these pens. So the Pilot ink is a refill that looks like this one. Okay, so it snaps in. It's a little different shape and a little longer. I don't try to put the wrong, just general ink into a pen. This ink that fits in here is a ceramic ink. It's shaped different, carbon ink, and it has like a ball bearing in the nose of it. These pens are really good for $4.99 each, $5. That's the best pen I've found. This is a Kakuno. These two use the same. This is there's a huge big fountain pen that I've had for, here it is right here. I've had for 30 years, and I use Speedball ink in it, and it's time to do a little maintenance on it. I'm going to have to go get the pipe wrench and take it loose. Oh well, it's not coming loose today. I'll have to do some work on that pen. That pen and this pen that I carry in my pocket every day used to be brothers. There it is right here. So Chris, you just mentioned the Pentel O needlepoint well for lining on cold press. Yes, Chris. And so, by the way, Chris, that you said that, Chris Whitaker just said the Pentel Energel 05 pen, which is this pen right here, is a great pen for lining onto cold pressed paper. And she's so right. It will just do a great job, and it bleeds just a little bit. The longer I let this ink sit on this paper, the less bleed that I'm going to get. So I'm drying it out on purpose. But inside this pen right here, this is an 05 Energel needlepoint. I just love the weight of this, and this is what I carry in my pocket all the time. And I sketch with this pen many, many times. I'll just grab it out and I'll sketch, and it's no different than me sketching at home with this. So wherever I am, I have an 05 Energel in my pocket. I don't like to put clip pins. I'm not really a clip pin fan, but these work great for me on the desk. But I don't like to keep a clip pin in my pocket because I'll bend down to pick up some change or my keys that I drop, and my leg will push the button down, and then the ink runs out on the inside of my pants pocket. Yeah. So just, the problem, it's a first world problem, people. Come on, I'm sorry. But it bothers me. So this pen, I just do this, and I love the weight of it. But it was all black, and this is just from wear. This is journey wear right here, babes. I love this pen, though. Okay, what I do is I buy separate little refills for these. Just got some Pilot ink coming in today. Ceramic ink I have already over there, and premium ceramic ink, and then Lamy ink. I still have another box of that over there too. And so I was going to take this Lamy pen and drop some really dark lines in here and just let it bleed out like this. This is really good ink. Really, if I want a dark stroke in here like so, I can get it with this pen right here. Guarantee it every time. Okay, so now let's just throw a little water on there and see what happens. I'm going to move these pins over, except for that one. I'm going to put it right there. But I will show you something. Well, I'll show you something else with these pens today. Why do I paint with fountain pens is a good question. And the reason is I just love the ink bleed. I like what happens. I'm not going to wake these colors up too much yet. You know what I do is, and it started out with a bunch of middle schoolers when I saw them kind of pumping their brushes into the paint. Yeah, trying to get some paint out. And I said, ho, your paints are sleeping. Wake those paints up. And so to do that, I'll just grab a little spray bottle, mist, and I'll give them a little shot. But I really am just going to leave these kind of dry today and just let my brush bring a little bit over at a time. But if I'm painting really loose and a lot, I'll go ahead and wet these colors. Remember, these are tube colors squeezed into this, okay? Not cake colors. All right, here we go. Yes. And Chris, you're figuring out all, and Chris has done enough fine line drawing, and a lot of you who paint every day, you're finding out the best pen for the best paper. Yeah, you might have to change a little bit. One size does not fit all, people. Okay, here we go. Let's make something happen here. A little funky music for this, just something really different. Here, how's this? Let me find a little brush over here. How about a little bamboo brush? How about a JB100? Go in here and just see if this starts to bleed a little bit. Look at that. Just throwing some water on here and just letting the water sort of do what the water's going to do. Not paying much attention to where I'm throwing it, just popping it on there like this, okay? You see what's happening? This is already kind of breaking up here in a couple places. Some of these preppy pens have begun to dry out, so I'm just going to get a nice little ink wash. Some of this, where I just put that Lamy on there, are beginning to build up. And so I'm going to get some cool black color here. I wanted some. I want a little bit in here where I'm going to put that red. And I'm going to show you something else with the pens in just a minute, how I like to use these. I could put the pen in afterwards. And once again, just play will let you know which pens you can put in on wet paper and which pens have to go to dry paper. You should never get tired of this discovery process. This is like being a science kid. This is the best, okay? It's like having a science project going all the time. If you think you're going to figure out watercolor in just like a year or 10 years, you might be sadly mistaken. All right. And so I wanted that little piece of red right there. And then I wanted, see, I left off. I got such a hurry. All right. I started it. I forgot to put the rest of that waddle down there. And I just did it with this Energel pen. Okay. So come in here like this. And while I have this red going, I'm just going to drop up in here and throw some red in. And look, I'm just sort of stroking this. This is a Yasutoma bamboo brush, probably about the size of a number 3 if you paint with Yasutomas. And look, you have the ability to go in here and get wide, or you have the ability to pull back light handled and just bring it down to a point. And that's what I love about these brushes. I also love my nylon brushes that work well for the same kind of concept here. You don't have to have these brushes, but I got used to them and I love them, and they still jump. I'm gonna just put a little bit of red down in here like this, maybe some over here like so. Maybe a couple little just beauty splashes around there like that. I gotta have a paper towel over here to blot my brush and clean it out. So cleaning out my brush right here. I think you can see that pretty well. My face is really in the painting there. There it is. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this gamboge, which is the yellow that I use. Comes out of a tube. Sort of stays a little, what's the word? Kind of pasty, dry in here. They'll dry out if I don't paint, but you know, I paint every day, so they won't dry out much. And it'll have a little, that's why I keep that spray there. A little spray will just sort of wake them up and bring them to life, and I like that. Okay. So this is the meeting. This is my day's meeting. I'm going to go to my meeting today. I want some of this ultramarine blue, and I want to just bring it in like this. I like this black, so I'm going to wait right there, put a little blue out here, coming down. I think a little bit of purple on this guy right in here would be nice, right in the center. I think that'd pull your eye in there, just like that. He's coming down. So you got these three roos standing around. There's a little more red in this comb right here. I wanted to bring this comb on down just so it made a statement. He's in the forefront of our picture. Maybe he's the guy that's a little bit in charge. Just do a little bit of red around the eye, like so. And some of you paint some beautiful, beautiful. Renee, you're always painting rooster heads. And I see them on your Roost Crew page, and you're really good at it. I love it. I just like to get some every now and then to just have a little bit of different life in them, and it makes me laugh. It makes me, I see a story coming out of this already. And so that's some of the fun things that you can do. There's no green in here really, except what's coming in with this blue and red right here. Look right here. It's automatically just happening. Grab some of that blue and some of that yellow, and I get this light little spring green that's sort of coming in there. We'll see some more of it there, and just grab the blue. Didn't grab any green, just grab the blue, and now I see some fun. I see some fun green happening there. Come back in here, grab that. Maybe let that pop a little bit right there. Still painting with a big brush. I hadn't put down my big brush yet, and I don't know that I want to. I'm going to grab some more yellow and just pop it right in there like that. And maybe just let some loose hair come out this way and down and around. Okay, so there's the conversation. As you can see, it's that's going to be how my meeting goes today. I've got this pen in my hand, got some ink left in it. Just grab a little bit of orange and pop it in there. I like this purple that I found here laying around, but I want some more feathers coming out of that purple, so I'm going to bring it down like this. All right, music stopped, but in my brain I can still hear it going. Put a little of this purple up in there. I might just get a little bit of black too. I did that pen's doing pretty well. So you can see there's no set reason. I'm not looking at anything. I didn't set out to go, oh, I want to paint this just like that. I just found this and I'm discovering it as I go. But watch. Let's grab a Preppy, an 02. Let's just grab this 03 for a second right here. Okay, so watch this. Watch this right here. All right, if I wanted a little more black right in here, now I can take this fountain pen and I can just touch it right here. And I get this black spot that just bleeds out. And look at it, it's perfect. Look what's happening. Now when I put a little of this black fountain pen on there, and do I get stopped up sometimes? Sure, just go over and clean it off a little bit. I might even have to dip it. You're in charge of your pens. You know, some people go, oh, this one's stopped up, it's broken, I got to throw it away and get a new one. No, you don't. Do a little maintenance on them. You can clean them up. You know, what I'm doing now is, look right here. I just wanted to separate these with a little black, so I'm just laying this pen in like this and letting it mess around in that water, but also might just do some squiggles in here, some loose feathers, and I don't want this to look too what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want it to look so perfect that it doesn't look like it's a real fun painting. I want it to look like it just happened here. You know, these guys are coming in, they're out in the weather, and so I'm just touching some of that. And I need a little bit of that ink down here. And let that bleed in. Now we get some nostrils up here. All right, the pen's blocked a little bit. I have to clean it, got a little too wet. Come in on some dry paper, bring it in, and bring me my ink again. There it is right there. Just a little shadow. All right, maybe some eyelashes. Needs a touch of red right in there on that eye. Rooster eyes have, oh yeah, that looks good right there. Okay. I don't get to just be quiet and paint much. This is fun. All right, you get a question or two, throw it out there. Okay. Okay, so there's a little painting for you. Now I'm going to shift gears completely. I'm going to go from chicken lot to back to Maine. And so let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I'm going to just let this dry and let it alone. I like the rascaliness of this. Is that a word? I have Roodoodleified these three chickens, these four roosters that are sitting there amongst the ruins. Okay. I think I'm done. I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. I'll probably come back when it dries completely. And this is a good point that Chris made just a minute ago. I'll take my 05 inner gel pen, one of these, an 05 or an 07. Where's that push button pen that I talked so bad about? It ran from me. Here it is. And I may come back in when all this is dry and just heighten up those little, some of the little detail. Like I'll put a couple little eyelashes in right there. And so see what that did? That just changed that completely. I don't think you can see it, but I'm going to hold it up right here. Look at this right here. Oh, man, little details like that you come back in. Just know when to quit. Just every now and then lay the pen down and go, stop it already. Roodoodles.com. And I'll label that, figure it out. All right, these squiggles have made me think of another pro. I just said Maine, so let me take you back to Maine with some squiggles here. Here we go. All right, so fluid 100 paper, a little pencil sketch that I didn't erase. There's a little mark right there. Went in with some red. Went in with just a pen and a bamboo brush, and just kind of made a mess. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Every now and then, if I want to heat that back up just a little bit, I don't want to take all those holidays out of there. There's some nice ones in there. Okay, the only color I didn't put in there was Terry Tardy turquoise, and so you know it's got to happen. It's got to happen right here. There it is, right there. Okay, so that's the color. That's just that's like me finding a silver dollar when I'm walking outside. Look at that. Fell out of somebody's overalls, because I know a modern day pair of pants wasn't carrying it. I can't go with the modern day pants that people wear because they have no pockets. What's wrong with people? Okay, there we go. I'm gonna lay this down somewhere. Boom. Hey, this is a piece of paper that I don't know what it is, and I think it's very inexpensive watercolor paper that I bought at a big box store. It's almost, yeah, it's a mix between a hot press, cold press. I think really it was sold as probably 138-pound cold press paper, but it's not great paper. But the more I painted on it with some of my fountain pens, the more I like it. I bought this for the group that I was doing a consulting day with, and I wanted to throw out some paper and some markers, and I made them draw something in a minute. And then we had a long conversation about their art. It was just a fun time. So I didn't want to throw out all my expensive paper, but I threw this out, and I found it over there the other day. And so I just thought I'd paint something on it for you. And let me show you what a loose painting looks like. Let me move this. Here's a piece of it too. I have some here. And let me show you what I'm talking about when I say loose. And I might even use this tray. I reached up here, grabbed this tray. I have that tray there to paint out of. Same colors. Okay. Let's see here. Thanks, Sanul Stoffberg. Thank you. I love it too. Overalls are back in style. Yeah, they are back in style, but they never went out in some things. All right, so here we go. You guys know that I spent some time heading up into Maine last year and journaled up there, and I was sitting at the coffee table or at my breakfast table this morning, my first cup of tea, and lo and behold, I had a little piece of paper there, smaller than this piece of paper, and I just sketched out this little shape, and it sort of started out like this. See if this pen's going to write, and not very well, it's not. Let's see if I can do that one more time. You got it to write now? And so what happened was I just sketched out this little shape, and before I knew it, I had started on this shape that became a lobster, and so I thought, well, I'll just stay with it. That pen now, see, that's the other thing about drying your pen out; it's not going to paint very well right now. So let's see if I have another one in my pocket. I got the number 3 here. I'll use it. Okay, so here we go. Let that one dry out just a little bit. And so I started painting, and you can already see where I'm headed with this, right? It's a lobster. And so lobsters, of course, have 10 legs, 4 on the sides, but their 2 claws are legs also, just in case you didn't know that. But I was going to show you how a squiggle painting with one of these a squiggle painting with a fountain pen can work to make a very nice piece of art if you just let it do what it does best. I don't know how to do on this paper, but we're going to find out here in just a minuet or a short ballet, whichever comes first. So there's 1, 2, 3. There's the 4th leg coming down. And then here out of the shoulder is this big old shoulder claw piece, and so the claw comes around like this, and it comes back in, and then it goes off and then cuts back, and then the other claw comes around like this. Look at that, huh? Hey, that wasn't too shabby. Even hadn't done these in a while. You know, you forget. I drew so many of them when we were heading up to Maine, and then now I'm and come in here, and now I'm just doing some squiggles. I think this is going to be the dark side. I was reading about lobsters also this weekend. That's what got me into it, because I saw one of the pictures of my journals, and it reminded me of what I love going up there. And there's one in like 50 million blue lobsters. We all talk about blue lobsters, but there's not that many of them. And so, but we love them when we see them. And so this is going to be kind of a blue lobster. And so maybe his legs are a little far down on the pike, but I think you get the idea of where I'm going with it. I want to show you just with this pen. Look, I'm just still making squiggles in here. I'm not even being careful. And sometimes our doodles can turn into some of our favorite art. In my cases, I discover more art that I've done than I really set out to paint great art. So if you're not playing enough, you're not doing that. And that's some of the things we're going to talk about this year in my classes that I do. And the classes are going to be at 8:57 once a month, a 90-minute class, and you can find the information on that in Patreon. There's a link here. But watch this. I'm just going to start. I love this. There ought to be a little dark place right here. Just pile in some of this ink. Come down. Maybe a dark spot here. Let's see what happens if I take a smaller bamboo brush. Here's one right here, and just start to pop some of this in there. Now, you note something that's happening? You remember the wash I was getting a little while ago? I'm not getting it with this one. And I didn't think I would, because this is a smoother paper, and it's forcing the ink to dry faster. There's not as many facets to get tied in. It doesn't lay there and soak like a sponge. It just dries because the air gets to it immediately. And so I love that feel. So I experimented with this paper, and I found out that wow, what's happening is something I'm really interested in. But look what I'm doing. I'm just still painting it with water. And then I'm going to go back and show you one of the reasons I love this fountain pen, okay? So watch this. I'm going to grab a little bit of just blue and drop it in here and just let it go. There it goes. Grab some blue down here just in the tail. There's not many blue lobsters, but this is going to be one of them. Just a little up in the claws, not much, and I'll show you why in just a second, because the claws are going to have a little bit of, they come up out of the ocean first, they're going to have a little bit of sun in them. There we go. If that's too much blue, I can get some of that out by just going right here and using this as an eraser. There we go. I'm going to grab a little bit of orange red here, maybe just a little bit of orange red, yellow. I'm just going to grab some of this. That's too much. So I'm going to take some of that and put it over here. And this one, I just want this to be faded red. I don't want it to be this bright, bright, bright. And we'll just put a little bit there and a little here on the legs and just have it kind of like that. There's not going to be much more, but I want to show you this with this pen. Here's this number 3 again. This number 3 pen. Now, if I touch it now, watch what it does. Can you see that spot? Look at this right here. Watch this. If I touch it right here, watch what it does. It actually is pulling the ink right out of the pen and it's bleeding across. Do you see that? Look at that little cloud that just came out. This is going to look great for this fantail back here. Now just drop some of that ink right in there and just let it mingle in. Do you think about doing that? Well, maybe you should sometimes as you play. You want to see your paintings become kind of loose? Look what's happening with this already. Love this little lobster already, and it's just squiggles. Now I'm adding some to it. I'm dragging my pen through the red paint, and I've got some little red squiggles out here. Might throw a little bit more of that in just right here. Maybe a touch of orange in that too, just a touch of orange right there. And then up here, and then maybe also a touch of just black right in there. But instead of just black, I'm going to touch my pen to this orange ink and just let it sort of bleed in there like this. But I also will break the surface of the orange with my pen and get some of these little squiggles going. Man, my sinuses are so stopped up today that my ears are, I feel like Muhammad Ali. Somebody answer that phone. I'm the greatest. I can't hear anything. Oh, golly, it's so frustrating. All right, so a little touch of green in there just because, well, he's been on the ocean's floor, and a little touch of brown, and that's why I didn't wake my paints up too much this morning. So there you go. So there's this cool little lobster that just came out of nowhere this morning on some not good paper. And I'm going to grab my pen. Let's see. Let's grab a fountain pen that's writing. Let's see if this one's going to do it here. I have to dry it off a little bit because if they get too wet, you got to dry them off. So I get them back over here till I get it writing. There it is right there. It's coming back to me. All right. I'm going to draw his antennae. And they come up on a little hinge and then they break back like this. And they have little cuts across them. Sometimes they're kind of reddish colored. So if I wanted to do that, I could come in with a tiny, tiny little brush, maybe like this, with just a little bit of red orange. Maybe something like this right here, and just bring it down just a little bit like this. Yeah, not much. Just let you see that it's happening there just a little bit. And a little more blue up in the nose of this thing. I just want that to get in there. But a little red in these up here too. So I'm just now kind of coming up. There's a great little lobster that really just fell in from squiggles. And you see all these little pen that my fountain pen did right here? I don't care. I'm just going to let them stay in there. I don't think I need to match those in with anything. All right. It's scratchy. It's loose. It's just little. It's the same as I was doing with the roosters, and that's a fun thing to do. All right, style and lobster. Phil, thanks for being on the show for a little bit. Run off and get your day done, man. Add some turquoise, Pat says. So watch this, Pat. Here we go into the turquoise. If you're talking about the lobster, Here's a little Terry Tardy. Why don't we let that turquoise go across this back spot right here? Oh, look at that. And maybe even onto the blue side, and maybe even down here around the tail. And that would be a nice little come out of the ocean add in. See there? Perfect. I like it. I even like to add some of it right here. And maybe on this piece of, oh man, that's good. Okay. If I wanted to back off some of this blue-black, I could do it by just touching it just like this. And just still let it be a little pastel. Okay? I can't believe I just used the word pastel on my art show. But I did, dadgummit. I'm going to stay with it now, okay? Okay, here's a little more orange on top of that. Yeah, I like that. I like the turquoise in there. Okay, so there we go. So there's a little lobster on some paper that, honestly, I don't know what it is. If I tried the same thing, all right, so this is, I'm going to call this a inexpensive watercolor paper that should not have been labeled cold press, but it's also not a hot press. So it's just an inexpensive paper. But as your painting gets better and you learn to handle your pens and your water and your paint better, you should be able just to paint on about anything you want. You just play with it. You ought to be able to paint on the side of Pendaflex folders. Let's pull this out. No. Let's just, for example's sake, and this is what this show's all about. Here, I'm going to leave this painting here. I'm going to go with some Kilimanjaro. This is a 9x12 cold press, pure cotton, and this paper rocks. This paper is hard to sketch on even, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that 03 again, and I'm going to do just a small one of these little. I'm going to do a small little lobster here with this one, okay? So he's going to be kind of coming down this way, and so I'm just going to sketch him in here. Here he goes right here, and he's got another break in his body right here, and then another one. How many? Oh, sometimes 5, sometimes 6. Just depends on the lobster and where you are in the world. And so here's a little guy. Just going to do a little bit of time to come down with his legs, and then maybe this, and maybe this one comes out here and crosses that one. Got one here. Maybe this one's bent into here, kind of coming around. Here's one that goes up. It's underneath. And there's a couple that you don't see on this side, like so. Okay, so this is the back part of our lobster. And there's another leg that comes out here and goes around. All right, so his shoulders are going to come out like this. If there's such a shoulder, these are going to be the big legs. Big leg. Get you goomy, okay? So this is going to come around like this, and then there's that hinge. And this one's in here like so. That's a pretty good claw, actually, if I did do it myself. And here's one here. And then we're going to do this claw in here and come down. And so now this paper is going to hold this ink up a little farther, a little longer. And so watch, I'm going to use a smaller brush this time, but I bet I can pick up a little more bleed from the ceramic. See there? It's picking up just a little bit more. Not much though. Those ceramic ink, they dry pretty doggone fast. So if I want more ink in there, now I can come back and get it. Where's my 3? I'll come back and get it, and I'll add a little bit more right here now. Look at this. Look what's happening now. See it? Now it's bleeding a little bit more. Grab that blue and come in right here with a little of that blue. I love that blue and black together. Does that not look like red to you? What happened to my brush? All right. One thing about this paper, I'm telling you about Kilimanjaro paper. If you want to see colors pop, I don't know if there's any cotton paper that grabs the pigment more and holds it tight than Kilimanjaro. I've been painting with it for 15 years because of this reason. I love it. I love it. I love it. The reason I love painting my roosters on it so much is because of the colors that they get. Look at this. It's crazy how that stays so bold in there. So If I wanted it lighter, I'm going to have to go in here and get just a little bit of a blotting cloth and take some of the color out. And then here's what's fun. If I want to make some squiggles now, I can just kind of come in here and grab some of that ink with my little, and I'm using a tiny little bamboo brush. I could use a regular other brush. You're going to see me use one of those. Here's one right here. This is a number 4 American Journey brush. Grab a little of that turquoise that Pat wanted to put in there. There it is right there. Grab some of that, go in. So roosters and lobsters, they have a stir on the end of them. They're all the same to me. You know, they're just they're fun. They have their own place in the world. I'm going to grab my 05 pen here and just come around like this. And then maybe this goes back and maybe this one comes back over here. And I suddenly have this great little lobster that just fell into this piece of paper. And I love it. It's really a nice little piece. And I'm going to come around here and clean this up just a little bit. I went out there thinking I was going to build this claw up just a little bigger. And there it comes right there. I didn't want it as sharp. I wanted it a little more blunt. It's not like he's carrying a sword around. And then I'll take some of these and just put some spots in there that are black. I can splatter this too with a little bit of black ink. Just why? Because I felt like I wanted to. There's some right there. Yeah, that's good. And maybe a little bit of orange. Maybe you need just a spot of orange in here to lighten the load a little bit of all that muted color. And I'm liking that very much. Okay, so it's a good looking little lobster. Let's see here. Grab a little bit of blue and just drop it in here and put him in the ocean. And grab a straw and just blow that a little bit. Anyway, I don't know where it's going to go, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't go anywhere. But the point is, we made a little lobster eye. There's his eye right there. You can see it painted him sort of on the side. Love what's happening right in here. That's really a cool look. I'm all over that. That is beautiful. If you could see it clearly from your house, this orange and blue and turquoise right here just really bleeding together very nicely. That is going to be my favorite part of the painting, I'm pretty sure. I love doing that with shrimp sometimes. We'll just touch a little piece of yellow up in here too, just to get rid of those little clear ends. All right. So, all right. I'm glad I saved those straws from McDonald's. Yeah, no lobsters that I know of on Lake Superior, though. Yeah, the Edmund Fitzgerald. I love that. By the way, I listen to Gordon Lightfoot some days when I'm painting. It happens. Okay. Miss Carla says her battery's almost gone, and so I'm thinking, I hope that's in your computer and not, in your body. So, and don't you love turquoise? Bye, Phil. Everybody, this is a funny group. Okay, all right, here we go. Let me, this painting here would be cut down to probably just a small little frame painting like that. So I'd probably just build a box around it and be done with it. But I want you to see the difference. I'm going to grab this one again on just how the colors pop. Remember, I used the same blue. So you see how dark this is right here? Take a look. Not bad. Brighter. This is a less expensive paper. It's just really different how it grabs the color, and Kilimanjaro will do that for you all of the time. That's how it's made. It's 100% rag cotton, made in England. The Queen herself signs off on this paper. Okay, I just made that up. You know my story about that, right? When I was traveling as a storyteller, I I showed up one night, and I'm repeating stories, I know, but for the sake of you all who haven't heard this story, I'm going to do it. I was traveling as a storyteller, and I showed up one night. And so the worst thing that people can do is introduce you as a storyteller, or, hey, he's one of the greatest stories. He's the funniest storyteller. And I'm going like, please, just say, here's Rue, or here's Michael, and let me walk out on the stage. Don't give me some build-up intro, because you're going to make me feel insecure. You're going to make the audience expect something that they're not going to get. And so just say, here he is. Don't even say we had a storyteller come in. Just introduce someone tonight here who's going to take a few minutes of your time, and hopefully he'll stewardship it well. And so I walked out one night at a storytelling event. So you assume it already. So they're at a storytelling event. So why do they think that somebody's going to come out and not tell a story? And so I walked out and I said, well, I happened to be traveling a few years ago, and one of the greatest honors that a person can have who travels and just tells things, and you all call it storytelling, is to tell a story for the Queen. And so I had that opportunity, and man, people sat up in their seats and they went, oh my gosh, he told a story for the Queen? Yeah, I had this opportunity to tell a story for the Queen. And so the story, I didn't think it was that good a story, but I'm just going to tell you, the more I told the story, the better I got at it. And so the Queen, the Queen of England. Well, wait just a second. She said she was the Queen of England. So what she said was, after I'd finished my performance, was, if you're a storyteller, I'm the Queen of England. And so I bowed and said, nice to meet you, Your Majesty. And so you see, the twist in that is sometimes my art I don't have to proclaim, okay, today I'm going to paint the perfect lobster. No, I'm never going to do that. I just have to paint a lobster. Then I have to say, tastes like chicken. Or I have to say, when I was in Maine, all the colors of the seacoast. Now you know where I was headed with this. Did I have a little piece stored away? Yes. All the colors of the seacoast of Maine are right here in this lobster. So when Pat asked, put turquoise in, of course I'm going to put turquoise in there, because I save it in all those paintings right at the end somewhere to throw in that little piece of it and bring it in, because it's a highlighted color for me. Two reasons. One, I like it. I joke about it being Terry Tardy turquoise. It's one of my wife's favorite colors. She wears turquoise rings. It's found in nature as a natural stone. I just love it. And so it'll find its way in there. But the Maine coast and Laguna Beach, California paintings have this style in them. They have the orange in the rocks. They have the purple wash. They have this kind of a black bleed or Payne's gray bleed along the coastline. There's a little touch of yellow somewhere, yellow orange in the moss that hangs on those rocks and in the shadows. And then there's this green that sort of fades in, and you go, is that a gray green or a gold green? Yes. And so the thing about doing a lobster in these colors for me is that that's the coast of where they come from. And so that's part of the story. And so for me to do this little painting with people standing around the desk, or with kids, or with my grandkids, and they'll go, well, why didn't you paint the lobster orange? Because the lobsters at the grocery store, or the ones that they serve me in the restaurant, are orange. And I go, they're all brownish, greenish, uglyish, bluish, speckledish. But when you cook them, they're all orange and red. So I wanted to paint mine alive and not dead. And so that's what I said. And so I'll just keep doing it. They go, oh. And so it gives them the freedom of saying, well, that's not like any rooster I've ever seen. He looks like he's all colors. And I'm going like, he is. Well, I thought roosters were just black and white. Well, obviously you hadn't spent as much time on the farm as I have, because I see all these rainbow colors. So that pushes them out a little bit. It pushes you to be loose. It doesn't have to be what everybody knows it as. Make it the way your style and your brain and your story calls for it. And there's your lesson today, okay? These short lessons and 2-cent idioms you're going to get from all over the place. I'm going to continue to do them on this show. One of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to paint. on a YouTube channel, and the link to that YouTube channel comes from Patreon. Can you subscribe to me on YouTube? Yes, thank you. But my painting classes will be unlisted, and you get that list by going through Patreon. The support for that is a roaring extortionist fee of $11.57 a month. But hey, I know that's still serious money, even though here I took my granddaughter to Five Guys and it's $12 for a hamburger, and I'm going like, I hope that's good beef. So my point is this, $11.57, but I'll paint once a month for 90 minutes. But I'm also going to do another art show during that time, that month, and I'm going to, weekly, I'm still going to do my Ruse Crew for 30 minutes, not Ruse Crew, but Good News Rue. And that's just something that several people, more than a handful or a half a dozen or almost a dozen people have said, would you do this? And I just put it in the same link because I didn't want anybody to have to pay extra for that. So that's the thing I'm going to doodle on my Bible journal. I'm going to keep working on journal ideas for this class or for this showtime, and also creative ideas. But thank you for being a part. I hope you're sharing with other people. I know some of you just keep firing out art. I get cards and letters. Pat, thank you for a card. Listen, don't send them to me, though, if you don't need to. Send them to each other and encourage each other. I got this thing one way, and you're encouraging me when you pop onto the show and when you constantly encourage one another. So right now, I'd love for you just to grab your cup. I got a busy day ahead of me. Why? Well, because I've got a consulting meeting to go to. So we're going to pull up a couple of chairs and maybe a sweet tea with a little lemon, no ice. I don't use ice in any of my drinks. And so I'm going to add a little more red in here, and then I'm going to just like this, not the whole thing, just sort of let it just drift in a little bit. Just want a little more pop on this. I'm going to add it in here. I put a lot of water down, so that's why it faded out so much. Add a little bit of red here just to get that to pop, and then I want you to grab your cup, take the last sip of it this morning, and just think about who in the world are you going to encourage today? Send somebody a note. I've got a wall full of them here and a brand new person on my list that I need to send a note to today. Good friend of mine whose daughter is in Colombia as a missionary. And I said, you know what? I'll send her a note every now and then just to wish her well. I remember her when she was this big, and now time has passed and she's in Colombia. And not Columbia, South Carolina. All right. Blessings to you all, and thank you much. It's time to call in the dogs and a herd of turtles. I'm out of here. Who are you going to think about today? Got it. Grab my harmonica, and I'm off and running. See you, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Is today Monday? Yes, I'll see you Tuesday morning, good Lord willing. We'll catch up and paint something else.